Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Drew DeArmond and Steve Moulton.
Milroe with plenty of time, looking down the middle, wide open, catch made, Black, touchdown, Alabama, a 6-0 lead, 9:38 to go first quarter, 26 yards on the pitch and catch for the opening score. Empty set for the quarterback, Leary, who will throw left side, catch is made, and then the ball pops loose. It's loose, Bama's going to pick it up, staying on his feet, diving, and just shy of the goal line was Terry and Arnold. Everybody bunched up, quarterback sneak, pushing the pile forward, and that looked like Alabama. Touchdown, Crimson Tide. Jalen Milroe on the quarterback keep. They bunched everybody in and said, let's see if your 11 can stop ours. With the gain down to the 2, it's first and goal, Bama. Milroe and McClellan in the backfield for the Crimson Tide. Jalen waiting on the snap with 2 wide outs to the right side. He'll run behind McClellan. He'll get to the goal line. He'll get in the end zone. Touchdown, Alabama. Devin Leary, the quarterback. 16 of 29 today, 152 yards, a touchdown, but an interception as well. Gets the shotgun snap, looking, backpedaling, pressure coming. He's sandwiched, and he goes down at the 14-yard line. Bama will not go with heavy pressure. Kool-Aid will have a chance to return this one, starting at his 35. Cuts it up the middle, midfield, 45, lowers his head, runs over a man, and is finally brought down at the 36 of Kentucky. Hey, Kool-Aid, nice run. As the clock hits 0, the scoreboard reads 49-21, and the resume once again reads Southeastern Conference Western Division champions for Nick Saban's Alabama Crimson Tide.
Those are the calls from Learfield, and a good Sunday morning to you. Welcome into the Bama Recap Show, presented by Freedom Marine Center, along with Drew DeArmond, Steve Moulton here with you on a Sunday morning. Drew, good morning. How are you doing?
Doing pretty well, Steve. No doubt that the Crimson Tide, I thought handled business. I thought they were a very mature team. I know a lot of people thought this was a trap game and that this might go down to the fourth quarter, but it was basically over in the first quarter with the 21-0 burst, because this is a Kentucky team that has to play a certain way. They do have some talent outside with Barry and Brown, Dane Key and those guys, but the key is they still have to run the football. They need to play out front. Devin Leary had been better the last 2 weeks, but I thought when Alabama jumped on them, that was the key to the drill. Now, Alabama still made a couple key mistakes. They muffed a punt, and as Nick Saban explained, that was more in his mind on the gunner who did not do his job and ended up in Kool-Aid's lap. And then, they got a roughing the passer call because, the national media is still complaining that Dallas Turner's a dirty player. And so they're going to get, they're going to be looking at that. But again, neither here nor there. You're going to have peaks and valleys on the road. I thought Alabama handled it. They were never in danger, and that's the key. I thought they got a chance to play a lot of guys in the fourth quarter and rest some folks. You even saw Ty Simpson do some really nice things on his drive. So, and which I think could be big. I mean, and I thought Milroe checked another box, and that box is showing some toughness. Like, there's a difference between being injured and being hurt. And he was hurt, and you could tell, Steve, you've watched him, he didn't have the burst he usually has because of that thigh injury, but he managed it. I thought it was key for, in my opinion, I thought it was another really nice game, from Tommy Rees, in that you still ran him, you just picked your spots. Because he only had about 7 carries, and so you were still – and then he was able to throw the football. I thought the nail in the coffin play in the game was the 3rd and 18 in the second half where he hits Kobe Prentice for the first down, and then they go ahead and score. Once they answered that score and got it back out to 35-14, Kentucky had no shot.
Kobe was targeted 5 times, but it did seem to me – you tell me what you think, Drew – that after that initial injury that maybe the game plan was tweaked a little bit?
Oh, I think so. They probably weren't as aggressive with Milroe in calling some of those runs or telling him to take off. But again, I think another big thing, and we didn't know this till right before the game, Steve, that Jermaine Burton did not make the trip. He was extremely sick. But and this again proves my point that the wide receiver corps has done their job. Alabama didn't miss him a beat. I thought Malik Benson did a great job. He caught the football when asked, and he made a great block to spring Roydell Williams for a touchdown on the edge. So I thought, he did a nice job. You just talked about Kobe Prentice being the lead receiver and getting a few extra targets there. Nye Black was back in. He had a touchdown catch. He had another big catch to move the chains as well later in the second half at the tight end spots. We saw C.J. Dupree make a big play. So this offense is continuing to get better, and I thought the offensive line and let me say this. Kentucky has a good defense. And I thought they did a nice job against their front, giving Milroe time to throw. And when he had to, he did buy time, like he did on the Kobe Prentice touchdown to go up 14-0, where he was able to get outside the pocket a little bit and then keep his eyes up. It's been really neat to watch Milroe become a true weapon. Okay, I mean he's becoming a really good quarterback now. Some guy that people have to fear. And I listened to Mark Stoops' press conference, and that's the first thing Stoops said. He said that's a really good team we just played. He goes, Milroe puts you in a bind, and so I thought Milroe only made one bad decision. And any quarterback that does this, I call it the Brett Favre. I have the Drionary. That was a Brett Favre, Steve, where you're scrambling. Yes. He's about to go out of bounds, and Brett Favre's like, I've got the strongest arm anybody's ever had. I can squeeze it in here.
I'm going to throw across my body.
Yeah. I call that a Brett Favre, with all due respect. And I'm not taking a shot at Brett Favre.
Because he probably has more interceptions. It feels like he has more interceptions than touchdown passes, even though he's a Hall of Famer. But I agree with you wholeheartedly.
Well, and he completed some of those. I'm just saying that, but about half the time you're putting yourself in peril, like where this is Nick Saban going to break a headset, we don't need to be throwing it across our bodies. Let's just throw that one in the first row and live to fight another down.
Yeah, the final tally for Jalen was 15 of 22, 234 yards, 3 touchdowns, and of course we are referencing that pick thrown by Jalen as well. But Jason McClellan ran the ball really well, and Haynes, the stable of running backs that we thought was so deep were starting to, if you've really paid attention, you've seen a decent stable, but it feels like it's even growing from earlier in the season, Drew.
Well, you did see Richard Young get a few totes too. But, the thing with everybody was asking me about Justice, I think and you saw the big brace, he's had an elbow issue. And so I think that's why he hasn't played on quote-unquote downs that matter, so to speak, because, again, when the game is in peril, I don't think they wanted to play him with the injury, but it was not in peril yesterday. But you've seen Jam the last 2 games get a lot of reps. And I think also – as I've been watching the game, early in the year, all the running backs were struggling with blitz protection and pickups. But I think they're all doing a much better job of playing without the ball. And so I thought yesterday Jason McClellan did a really nice job in pickup. Of course, Roydell, and it tells you how much Saban thinks of Roydell because he was a captain. Before the game. So, and he's been speaking to the media, so he's a favorite of Coach Saban's, no question about that. But I thought the running back room as a whole, they did a really good job. It's interesting because I checked the final stats. They only rushed for 160 yards. It felt like they rushed for more than that, and a little over 4 yards a clip. But again, they basically the entire fourth quarter took the air out of the ball. They did let Ty throw, which I was pleased with, and he ripped a couple. Then, of course, Mo, Larry, and Curley called some kind of offensive interference on a great throw to the tight end because somebody was bitching probably on social media. And so they felt like they had to kind of even it out. But that's just the kind of like I said again, more interesting SEC officiating. And of course they were probably and it was very interesting. They didn't review a fumble inside the 5-yard line that should have been Alabama ball. Of course someone said his knee was down. It was very, very close. I can't believe they didn't even review it. But Jeff from the Borough probably buzzed in.
Well, life without 32 as well defensively, without your quarterback on that defensive side of the ball. Other guys are stepping up. I was really impressed with Payne, 44. I thought he had a decent game, Drew.
Yeah, he got half a sack. Damon played good. He's been playing pretty well as a backup, no doubt. Boygby continues to play well, Steve. I think he's got 4.5 sacks in his last 5-6 games. He's been a really good interior pass rusher for Alabama. You once again, Braswell made a big play in the game.
He's everywhere.
In that, they've Turner, didn't do a ton of stuff that just showed up on the stat sheet, but they have to account for him. He's had a really good year as well. So I thought overall, and then they rotated Story and Malachi at the safety spot. Story did some good things, and because who knows? I'll just say this. They're playing Chattanooga next game. It'll be the senior day, the last home game. I wouldn't be shocked if Key was held out again, Deontay Lawson was held out again. They're probably gonna play some younger guys because they're gonna need all hands on deck. Because Auburn just played their best game of the year. They just got Pittman fired. I'll just go ahead and call it that now because I thought Sam would find a way to navigate this, even win a close game yesterday, and have a chance to go to a bowl and survive. That turd they laid yesterday, he's finished. I don't think he's going to survive. I mean, that was horrendous. I mean, that looked like Chad Morris. That was so bad. It was 48-10, 72,000 Razorback fans. Most of them were gone by halftime. And I give you free credit.
It was 21-0 before you knew it. I have yet to see it, but I mean, it looked like a drubbing at least statistically. But I wanted to pivot back to Bama because it does feel like it. And in many ways, it get better week, and because we now know it's not just 2 more games, it's 3 more games.
Correct.
And there's still a lot right in front of this Alabama team and a lot to get better with Georgia looming in December.
Yeah, I mean, and you have a chance to play a lot of guys against Chattanooga. You should win impressively. You probably can get away with playing Milroe maybe a half. Because you don't want to push it too hard. But I also don't think Milroe needs to take a week off because of rhythm. And I think he needs to continue because he is now coming. This second half of the season is what we call blossoming. And he's blossoming and he's getting better. So I would play the starters probably a half, and then I would play the rest of the guys. And then I would rest some key people, especially defensively, because certainly Auburn is playing much better football. They've decided on their quarterback. It's definitely Peyton Thorne, and he's a dual threat guy. And Auburn did some really good things. They rushed for almost 300 yards against Arkansas and controlled the line of scrimmage. They did make some plays in the passing game, nothing real super explosive, but they've been much better the last few weeks. No doubt about it. Their defense is not deep, but they play hard, and they certainly I'll just say this. It'll be a challenge. I knew it would. I told you when I looked at the schedule that I kind of circled the Arkansas game. I was like, if they get by Arkansas on the road, they're going to win 4 in a row headed into the Iron Bowl, be 7-4, and there'll be a much better feeling for how Hugh's first season is going. And it'll be a very difficult road test for Alabama. I still think Alabama's the better team in all 3 phases. But again, Auburn at home is tough. They've given Georgia the best game, Georgia and Missouri, the 2 teams that have pushed the Dogs, because Wild Turkey certainly did not.
It is the Bama Recap Show presented by Freedom Marine Center. Now is the time to winterize your boat. You can check them out online at freedommarincenter.com. If you'd like to give us a ring, you can do so on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline at 256-576-4977. And some concerns that we had with this team early, Drew. One of them was the offensive line, specifically on the left side. And, boy, has that group really grown here over the last 3 games.
Yeah, I mean, the offensive line as a whole, Steve. I mean, I got my biggest tweet reaction, or is it a post now? Hell, I don't know what to call it. I just know it's called X. I mean, I quoted a tweet, and I put up a picture of Jaden Roberts, a.k.a. the Swamp Monster, and that probably got the biggest reaction on Saturday. I mean, his insertion into the offensive line has been the key. Certainly, I think that Seth McLaughlin is healthier, but and Tyler Booker was already. People forget. I kind of reference that because the folks are talking about style points and everything and how bad they looked against South Florida, but they didn't have Tyler Booker in that game. He took the game off. He had back spasms. But now that you tandem Booker with Jaden Roberts and Seth McLaughlin's getting healthier, the interior of that offensive line is a lot better. I thought that Caden Proctor played much better in this game. Didn't give up near as many pressures, and I also think that it's coaching and it's comfort level. But I think that Milroe is starting to understand, what about climbing the pocket. Get yourself outside if you feel pressure, and just help out those offensive tackles. But yes, the offensive line as a whole, I think, is playing much, much better. And for the majority of the game yesterday, Milroe had all day to throw. I mean, he could just sit back there and pick them apart. And then when he moved around, he manipulated the defense, especially on that first drive where he hit Nyblack, and on another time they faked the pitch and he hit C.J. Dupree. When they were going down the middle, those linebackers are having to come up because, oh Lord, he may run. And when he does, you just drop the ball in behind them. So. And I thought for the most part there was 3 or 4, that weren't accurate, but I thought he was accurate. Like that 3rd and 18 seed that he threw I mean, that was a big time throw to Kobe Prentice to move the chains. And so I just thought,
we've seen glimpses of that earlier in the season. I remember a 3rd down throw in Starkville at Mississippi State where it was a 3rd down throw. I think it was a 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9. It was a wide throw to the boundary. We've seen little flashes. It's just the consistency level is getting there.
Yeah, it is, no question. And and again, you got to understand, Milroe did most of all this within just a little over 3 quarters yesterday. And Coach Saban basically, he was about to go back in, and Coach is like, "No, well, you're good. We're up 28."
I had visions of Tua talking himself into putting him back in, and then all of a sudden, so lesson learned there. At least that's what I immediately went to thinking about that in that regard. But so. The other big storyline here moving forward is this narrative that is starting to pick up some steam about Alabama not controlling their own destiny. I'm not buying it, and I from reading your X posts or Twitter posts or whatever you want to call them.
Twitter is it X?
So I'm assuming you're agreeing with me that if indeed Bama does win out, I don't see how you would eliminate the SEC champion.
No, I just don't see it because, and the point I kept trying to, and a lot of folks on X they're just terrified you're going to have 4 or 5 undefeated teams. And let me ask you a question, Steve. Has there ever been 4 or 5 undefeated teams?
No.
It usually always works itself out. And
Washington nearly had their opportunity yesterday. Really.
Oh yeah, they did.
Texas is a one-loss team, and they hung on for dear life as well.
They did. So I mean, and like we said, Michigan and Ohio State are going to play each other, and I still think the Big Ten is viciously overrated. I'm sorry, Steve. It doesn't impress me that Michigan didn't throw a pass in the second half. Okay, that's not impressive to me. Okay, if you're going to do that, you think you're going to do that against an SEC team and win? I don't think so. So you can go and go to the cameras and act like Jim Harbaugh's on his deathbed and cry, and because you're just about to see him in 15 minutes or whatever, which is absolutely asinine. But I'm just telling you, I don't think that either Michigan or Ohio State is one of the 2 best teams in the country. I'll just go ahead and say it.
The breaking story that we have yet to get to is Drew's favorite coach in the SEC was relieved of his duties this morning, although $76 million, man, Jimbo Fisher, a.k.a. Dirknet, is no longer the man in charge. What is your reaction to the news that Jimbo Fisher has been relieved of his duties?
Just shocked. You know, I mean, now I thought that the A&M Board of Regents and everything, and the trustees, I thought they would wait till maybe before the last game against LSU or right after it.
Billy Lucci said this happened Thursday.
Right. I mean, and if I'm Zach Arnett, I'm already calling the rental van or whatever, man, because they just beat me, 51-10 or whatever the heck it was, and they just fired their coach. So, I mean, I think this was inevitable because the best they were going to do is go 8-4. And if anybody watched Jaden Daniels, a.k.a. the Freakazoid, last night, the show he put on against Florida, I mean, I very seriously doubt A&M is going to win that game. So
did you see what he did yesterday? I'm talking about Jimbo when there was we all knew Max was not going to play.
Max Johnson, yeah.
And they put somebody out there in a Max Johnson jersey throwing it left-handed, even in the same kind of throwing motion as just kind of a decoy. And I was like, that is the cherry on the sundae that you need to know about who your head coach is. And I think Texas A&M did the proper thing in moving forward, although I do wonder whether or not we're going to get a spike in gas prices here.
Well, we'll see. I mean, certainly they pay. How much did they pay Sumlin? 30 or 40, and now they're parting with about
30. I think it was 38 million.
Yeah, now they're paying Dirtneck, 76 million.
76. That's right.
And then he'll probably. I've already laughed. I mean, I saw the list of coaches, man. He could end up changing places with Mike Elko. Wouldn't that be funny? He comes to Duke, and then Mike Elko goes to A&M. Now, of course, Lane Kiffin's going to put himself right in the middle of all this
of course.
But I just have one question: how many big games has Lane ever won?
The one that immediately stands out is at USC, the game at Oregon. I mean, that's the one that you asked the question.
I know,
but that's the one that stands out to me. The one.
Yeah, the one
has won a couple of championships at FAU, but I mean, but if you take a look at his resume this year, his losses are to Alabama and Georgia. So I mean, wouldn't you say that program is at least trending in the right direction?
Oh, he's done a good job. I'm not saying he hasn't. I'm just saying that when he gets mentioned for all these big time jobs where you're talking about making $10, $11 million a year, what has he done to earn said $10, $11 million a year? And A&M thinks that they've been going through the ringer, just let him bring Pete Golding with him and see what happens.
We know how Drew feels about
the
defensive coordinator.
Yeah, Ole Miss guy got mad at me on X last night, and I think he deleted his response because I tried to find it. But I guess I wasn't even directing it at him or anyone else. All I said was Pete Golding is getting shredded, and he was in the first half. And I'm just speaking from experience, man, because I've watched the guy. Okay, and his defenses look just like they did at Alabama, except and I understand he has less talent at Ole Miss. Okay, but even when he has Alabama talent, they give up. For example, last year's Tennessee-Alabama game in regulation, Steve, it was 52-49.
That's right.
Okay, and they looked lost. Right. And so his defense looked lost all last night. Couldn't cover anybody out of the backfield. Linebackers looking lost. He's over there cursing into his headset. I mean, he's the ultimate dude that can talk football all day long, but he can't coach it on the field. Okay, at least not to that level of what he's being paid. And so I'm just saying, if I'm A&M, I'm just trying to give him some advice. Owen won't speak to me, but I mean, I don't really think you guys should be trying to hire Lane Kiffin. But if you did, it'd be a typical A&M move.
Everything happens for a reason.
Yeah, it really does. Let the healing begin, by the way. I did tweet that out or X that out earlier between you and Olin Buchanan. But Andy Staples did put up a list of 12 candidates from On3. You mentioned Mike Elko, Dan Lanning. There at Oregon, Mike Norvell and Florida State. But some other names pop up, including Jonathan Smith. That's the Oregon State head coach. as well as Urban Meyer, the Fox commentator. And I think that is the one name that it really intrigues me. But another name that popped up, at least on Andy Staples' list, was Dan Campbell, the Detroit Lions head coach.
Don't do that to Wolverine Dan, man.
And Dan Quinn, the former Atlanta Falcon head coach and current Dallas Cowboy defensive coordinator.
I wouldn't go the NFL route if I was A&M. I would try to get a really good college coach. Now, my only question about A&M, they have the money, man. They're about to pay a guy $76 million to go away. So they're going to pay. I would just be, you got to have a good idea here. You don't. I'd want, and I know they thought they were getting a championship coach because Jimbo had won a national championship. I don't know if you necessarily have to hire someone that's already won one. You just need to look at pedigree and how their team looks. How they're recruiting, because that's very, very important. So, I mean, that's why I think a guy like Dan Lanning would be on their radar, because I was watching them, take apart, Caleb Tulane and USC last night. I mean, I certainly wouldn't touch Lincoln Riley, and I don't think Riley would want any part of it. Personally, Steve, I know you brought up Urban Meyer. I don't think Urban Meyer wants any of that smoke. I don't think he wants the SEC. He's already had to go through nerve medication and just basically taking a step away from coaching because it about drove him into the loony bin. I just don't know that he's got it in him to coach in the SEC. I think you need to get a younger guy. Elko does intrigue me, though, because I think he's done a remarkable job at Duke. I know they lost in overtime to North Carolina. It ended up being double overtime. But he's done a really good job there, and they look like I'll be honest with you, I love David Cutcliffe. I thought he did a good job at Duke, but I think Elko has done even better in his short period of time there. So, and they're very familiar with him, they're in College Station. So that'll be another intriguing candidate, no doubt about it.
The gold standard, though, is in Tuscaloosa as Alabama captures, at least under Coach Saban, their 10th divisional championship, and the last one because the divisions are going away. So we'll hear from Coach Saban on the other side of our first time out. It's the Bama Recap Show presented by Freedom Marine Center. We'll be right back.
Log on today, 977ESPN.com.
There's nothing like the freedom you feel when you're on the water in your own boat from Freedom Marine in Guntersville. And when it's time to get your boat ready for cold weather, Freedom Marine is your best choice to winterize your boat so it's ready to go next spring. If you've been thinking about a new boat, Freedom Marine has a great selection on sale now with some of the biggest discounts they've had in a decade. For new and used boats, outboard, sales, financing, service, and parts, it's Freedom Marine. Highway 431 in Guntersville and online at freedommarincenter.com.
Hi, my name is Dan Aldridge. I'm here to let you know about the Aldridge Law Firm and the soon-to-be-announced Legal Town Center. I've been practicing law in Alabama since 1984, and I also practice in Tennessee. And I'm from North Alabama, and I'm here to represent you and take care of your legal needs. For many of us, hiring an attorney is not high on the priority list, and maybe a little scary. But it's something that we all need at some point. So by all means, do your homework. And if you need representation for car accident, wrongful death, medical malpractice, nursing home abuse, or estate planning, or any other matter, just give us a call at 256-534-3188. And you can email me at Dan, that is Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. God bless America.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
The kitchen is the heart of any home. It's where the family gathers. It's where kids discover old recipes and make them their own. Just starting out or just now getting started on the dream kitchen you've always wanted?
I'm Chris Haygood, and from all of us here at Bob Wallace Appliance to the home builders and the homeowners of the Huntsville area, a heartfelt thank you for buying local. We're in Huntsville, Florence, and Coleman, and online at bobwallaceappliance.com.
Hey folks, this is Arthur Seaton, managing partner at University Kia, proudly saying Roll Tide and War Eagle. Stop into University Kia today and shop one of the area's largest selection of new Kias, including Fortes, Seltos, Telluride, and Popular Carnival, and fully electric EV6. View all the great specials at universitykia.com and get pre-approved in minutes so you can drive home your new Kia you really want, because we want to see you in a University Kia.
Hi, this is Wes Neighbors. I'm here with Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Sam, tell the folks about Fleming Roofing and Restoration.
Hey Wes, our company Fleming Roofing and Restoration specializes in commercial and residential roofing and repairs. I'm a fifth generation Huntsvillian, and our family's been doing construction business in Huntsville area since 1965.
Sam, what kind of roofs does Fleming Roofing and Restoration do?
Our guys are skilled enough. We can come out and address any kind of leaks or issues you might have on your commercial, on your metal roofing, on your shingles. We can do anything, and we can offer you a solution to repair it, or we can replace it.
Well, you guys also do insurance restoration.
Our staff has 10 plus years of experience as insurance adjusters, and we really do know the inside and out of the claims process at Fleming Roofing and Restoration.
Check out Fleming Roofing and Restoration online at FlemingHSV.com, or you can call or text them at 256-651-9440.
Hey Wes, we show up.
There's nothing like the freedom you feel when you're on the water in your own boat from Freedom Marine in Guntersville. And when it's time to get your boat ready for cold weather, Freedom Marine is your best choice to winterize your boat so it's ready to go next spring. If you've been thinking about a new boat, Freedom Marine has a great selection on sale now with some of the biggest discounts they've had in a decade. For new and used boats, outboard sales, financing, service, and parts, it's Freedom Marine. Highway 431 in Guntersville and online at freedommarincenter.com.
It is the Bama Recap Show presented by Freedom Marine Center, along with Drew DeArmond. Steve Moulton back here with you on a Sunday morning. Alabama heading back to Atlanta, take on the Georgia Bulldogs for the SEC football championship game, the first weekend in December. Really, I want to thank Chad Guathney for coming in here on a Sunday morning.
Appreciate you, Chad.
I'm on the road, still down here in Miami, and evidently I got some text messages saying that the team left at 5 a.m. this morning, and they're back in Huntsville. So a successful, well, it could have been better, but it was a 1-and-1 trip down here in Miami. But let's pivot back over to Nick Saban, and here is Coach Saban's post-game press conference and his opening statement.
Look, I'm really proud of this team. This team's come a long way. These guys have worked hard. There's great togetherness, good leadership on the team. A lot of guys have made significant improvement because they've stayed positive and stayed the course in terms of listening to what the coaches had to say about what they needed to do to improve and actually have really good relationships with each other on this team. So I was really pleased that the team didn't buy into, the rat poison or whatever you want to call it. I thought this was a little bit of a trap game, and I actually asked the players yesterday in the team meeting to stand up and say what they had to do, each position, each leader at each position. And I told them before the game I trusted that they would go out and do that, and that's exactly what they did. So I trust in these guys that they're going to do the right things, make good choices and decisions, which is going to help them continue to grow and develop as a team, and hopefully finish business throughout, the rest of this season in terms of what we have to do to continue to get better and see if we can create an opportunity for ourselves. Obviously, it's great that we won the West and have an opportunity to play in the SEC championship game, which I'm very happy for this team that they were able to accomplish that. I think there's probably very few people after the Texas game or the South Florida game, a lot of naysayers out there never really believed in these guys, but I've always believed in this team and trusted in this team that they would develop into something that's special, and it has been special. It's been a great experience to see them grow and develop and the confidence that you need to play really, really well. I think they were so excited about the fact a couple of guys came up to me, and I always talk to them about when we play on the road, if you enter the stadium, that means you really beat the other team. So a couple guys, I didn't use that in this game, but they certainly got the message and said, hey, coach, look around. So I'm pretty proud of them the way they played today. And obviously there's some things that we can correct and fix. We made some errors that obviously we busted on the 60-yard run at the end of the game when we put the twos in there. But these are all learning experiences that these guys will have an opportunity to get better at. You know, Jalen played really well. I thought, you know, the offense started the game out and set the tempo of the game extremely well. He played extremely well. The whole idea was the way they play on defense is take what the defense gives, and we nickel-dimed them in the first couple of drives, and then we hit a couple big plays. So I thought they did a great job on offense, and great team win for us.
Aaron Sladek.
That is the opening statement there from Coach Nick Saban, and did address a lot, including you could subtly hear him mention Miss Terry again. And I know that was a subject from earlier in the week about Miss Terry already talking about the Auburn game. And Drew, I guess you didn't get that message from Coach Saban, because in the first segment you were already talking about the Iron Bowl. But that being said, I'm going to go there. It looks like a really intriguing matchup next weekend.
Yeah, in 2 weeks, no doubt about it.
In 2 weeks, excuse me.
Yeah,
Yes.
there you go. Yeah, I think both Alabama and Auburn have the games to take care of, but Alabama, there won't even probably be a spread for the Chattanooga game, and
probably not.
And then Auburn's playing
another 11.
Now I will say this: Auburn is playing a sneaky team in Jerry Kill and New Mexico State. They're 8-3. Now, do I expect Auburn to win? Of course I do. But I'm just saying that it's a little bit sneakier than Alabama playing an FCS school in Chattanooga, who's usually a playoff contender, but still it's an FCS school. So it's good. But I do think that both should win, and it should set up a very interesting Iron Bowl, because Auburn, remember, Auburn at one time, was 3-4. And so they would be 7-4, and they would have a chance for that 8-4 regular season. But they would definitely be going to a bowl game in Hugh's first year, and they would be at home in Jordan-Hare Stadium. And we all know that Jordan-Hare is a very difficult place to play. So, and then Alabama, they would be trying to stay alive. We know they're going to be in the SEC championship game against Georgia no matter what. But Alabama doesn't have margin for error. They're trying to get to the college football playoff, so. Much like Texas has had to escape against Kansas State and then TCU, aka Wofford, then Alabama would be having to do the same thing. You've got to beat your biggest rival and stay alive in the conversation. I even said that on X last night. I said clearly Alabama has to win. They still have to win. I don't really buy all the they needed to have beaten Kentucky worse than they did. Give me a break with all that. They just need to win football games. If they do, then they're going to stay in the conversation. And I think what Alabama's doing is actually, some people act like there's pressure on Alabama. I think Alabama's putting pressure on other teams, because everybody sees Alabama down there and they're like, oh boy. And, they know Alabama's going to make a case for themselves, because if Alabama's 12-1, that means they would have had to beat a Georgia, who I think still Georgia's the best team in the country right now. Okay. That's just me. I've watched them.
Played that way yesterday.
I've watched a little bit of Michigan. I've watched a little bit of Ohio State, had to drink some of this Diet Sun Drop here so I could wake up. But, after watching a little bit of it, because it bored me to tears. But I've watched Georgia. I think Oregon, I'll just say it, I think Oregon's better than Michigan and Ohio State.
Wow.
So
I think Oregon-Michigan would be a fantastic game.
And I really do. I just think now everybody's talking about J.J. McCarthy, blah, 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 or whatever. I mean, they didn't throw one pass in the second half, Steve. Not one pass.
True.
That is not a good thing. Okay?
I would like to see that Oregon offense against that Michigan defense more than anything.
I don't think Jim would. I think maybe he would lengthen his own suspension.
Which, by the way, the news on that, in case you were like Billy and live under a rock, he is going to head to the court system on Friday for the temporary restraining order after the Big Ten boy, this language between the Big Ten and Michigan, it's as close to swearing through lawyer talk as you can possibly get with how contentious things are between the Big Ten. Maybe Michigan wants to come to the SEC now. Who knows?
Yeah.
But things are not all peachy up there in Ann Arbor. But they've still got business to take care of. So does Alabama. So with this get better game, an evaluation game coming up, where are some areas that Alabama you think needs to improve on this week?
Well, just the injury report. That's the first and foremost. They've got to get Deontay Lawson healthy.
Yes.
You know, Trez Marshall played yesterday, but he's still banged up. I wouldn't even be shocked if he was held out of this Chattanooga game. You could play Kendrick Blackshire, and even to a degree, I think Jihad Campbell is banged up a little bit, but I think he's healthy enough to play. You got to get Jalen Key healthy. I would hold him out, no doubt about it, and get him ready. You know, and another thing, I would continue to work on Milroe and the passing game and the timing of it all. I would probably tell him to pick his spots as far as running the ball against Chattanooga. Yesterday, I think he only carried 8 times. I would probably hold it between 4 and 5 and I wouldn't want him to take any direct hits like he had to against Kentucky. You know, you're trying to make sure that thigh is good. Get him treatment. Jeff out and the training staff all week this week. But again, I would want him out by halftime. I'd get Ty Simpson some time, and maybe even in the fourth quarter, Buckner. You know, just get as many guys. So to me, it's more about health because I really like how the team is playing. I don't really think it's more about working on an area of your team. I think it's more just getting healthy. And I think the guys, you know, this team has taken a mature approach to every game. They understand what's in front of them. You know, it's not going to be easy going to Auburn. It never is. And then you've got the huge mountain to climb because I guess Georgia's won 27 in a row.
That's right.
So they're going to be going for if they get to Alabama unbeaten, and I mean by the way, we'll talk about Purple Haze here in a minute. But anyway, I just think but if Georgia does their job, which I'm expecting them to,
I am too.
Then that'll be 29 in a row, and so. And you know that you're going to – and it's a huge challenge because it's basically a playoff game before the playoff. Okay?
That's right.
You're playing for the conference championship, and you're playing to be in the tournament, in the 4-team tournament. So they know what's ahead of them. I just think it's more about getting healthy and taking care of your body than anything else because you're going to need all hands on deck against both Auburn and Georgia because it's a huge challenge.
Well, I don't know if you paid close attention to the LSU-Florida game, but there was targeting in the LSU-Florida game last night. And, in fact, LSU had a player thrown out of the game with Andre Sam having a hit on Montrell Johnson. It was confirmed, and I don't know if you heard Brian Kelly post-game. I wish I had the audio sound. Oh, you did?
I heard him.
Comparing it to Dallas Turner's hit from a week ago, saying that he was trying to knock out Jaden Daniels, to which I immediately said, that's football. I mean, isn't that what defenders are trying to do? Not only do their jobs, but do it well.
Mm-hmm. And my first thought was take your ass whipping and go home. You know, enjoy the Music City Bowl or the Capital One Bowl or the Gator Bowl or wherever the hell you're going. But you're not playing for a championship. You beat Alabama last year because of that special quarterback. This year you did not because Alabama played a better football game. And I still say it wasn't a dirty play. It was just a football play. Listening to media members say once again that Turner launched himself into
look at the play. Look at the play.
It's just people pissed off because they got their ass whipped. Okay, That's all it is. I was pissed off last year when Alabama lost to the Pukes from Knoxville. Okay, and trust me, I think some of that officiating was very dubious. But I was also angry because I felt like Alabama let some opportunities slip through their fingers, and they were the better team, and they let Tennessee off the hook. Well, this year that didn't happen. Alabama got revenge against Tennessee. They got revenge against LSU, and both those fan bases and programs were very frustrated after both those games. So you understand it. They put a lot into it. But, again, I just thought, let it go, man. You enjoy watching Jaden Daniels while you can, because he's going to be gone next year. And so we'll see how good Brian Kelly is without Jaden Daniels there to save his ass like he has. Because I'll just tell you this: if Brian Kelly didn't have Jaden Daniels this year, Brian Kelly wouldn't even be going to a bowl game. He would have had a losing record. Period. End of story. Yeah. They would have lost that game last night. So they better enjoy 5 while they can, because he should be a first-round draft choice the way he's developed. And LSU should use that to their advantage in recruiting. But, again, like I said, quit whining, take your ass whipping, and go home.
We'll go through.
Like we did, where Jaden Daniels gets hit underneath the chin, driven to the ground, and is concussed, and it doesn't get reviewed. And then we have a play like tonight, which was a normal football play where a running back is lowering his shoulder, and we are trying to make a tackle. We're not targeting. We're not trying to lead with the helmet. We're just trying to make a tackle. We throw a kid out of the game. That is tragic. We're in a bad place right now. And we need to stop and figure this out. Because there's a lot of words I could use, but it's tragic that we threw a kid out of a game because he was trying to play football. And
Dallas Turner wasn't?
Semantics. There's going to be a great explanation about this. Oh, he used the crown of his helmet, or he did this, or he did that. He was playing football. Last week,
Dallas Turner, Coach.
That guy that hit Jaden Daniels was trying to knock him out.
Can you read his mind?
You can say whatever you want, but that's what he was trying to do.
Your guy was trying to make but he couldn't tackle anybody.
So everybody's smart enough to figure that out. But we have 2 different outcomes. We got to figure it out.
And I'll just say this: I hate the rule too. I can't stand it. They don't ever interpret it right. Okay.
Yeah.
And I even agreed that it should have been a penalty on Dallas Turner within the letter of the law.
It was a penalty.
And it was, and they called it one. And they act like they didn't even call a penalty on it. Because and guess what? Even if they had ejected Dallas Turner, you know what? Alabama's still going to kick LSU's ass, and they still would have whipped Kentucky's ass. It wouldn't have mattered because Alabama would have put in Keanu Coote, and they'd have kept rolling because Alabama's that good. Deal with it, America.
I had no idea that Brian Kelly had that telepathy.
Yeah, he can read minds, man. He's like Aquaman. He can read minds. Congratulations, Brian Kelly. How many national championships you've won on the Division I level, Coach?
Let's go ahead and take our final timeout. We'll take a look at Week 11 across the spectrum of the SEC, not just down in Baton Rouge.
There's nothing like the freedom you feel when you're on the water in your own boat from Freedom Marine in Guntersville. And when it's time to get your boat ready for cold weather, Freedom Marine is your best choice to winterize your boat so it's ready to go next spring. If you've been thinking about a new boat, Freedom Marine has a great selection on sale now with some of the biggest discounts they've had in a decade. For new and used boats, outboard sales, financing, service and parts, it's Freedom Marine. Highway 431 in Guntersville and online at freedommarincenter.com.
Not looking or feeling your best? No energy for the things you like to do? Ready to look and feel younger? Make your appointment at Advanced Life Clinic, one of the region's foremost destinations for patients interested in looking and feeling their best. Specializing in advanced laser treatments and weight loss, male and female rejuvenation to offset the effects of aging, and more. See how Advanced Life Clinic can help you enjoy your life again. Call 256-882-6555 or log on advancedlifeclinic.com.
Are you in the market for a recreational vehicle? Do you want to get out and see more of this beautiful country? Well, imagine hearing the laughter of your little ones enjoying gooey s'mores by a cozy campfire and making lasting memories with your friends and family from the comfort of a new camper. We can make your dreams come true at Hall's RV. With over 15 years in the camping business, we know how to get our customers into the perfect camper. We have several models and floor plans here for you to choose from, both new and used. We're family owned and operated with fantastic deals and great service. Everyone wants to work with people they can trust, so come on down to Hall's RV and get the deal of a lifetime. We'll treat you right and get you on the road in the camper of your dreams. Visit us on Highway 431 in Albertville. Hall's RVs, where we sell fun. Or see us on the web at www.hallsrvsales.com.
Our Falcons play here.
If you want to be really blunt going into year 3, it feels like a real team around here in Flower Branch.
Our Falcons are ready to battle all season long. Get your next game today. Our Falcons are back on the road as they travel for a matchup with the Arizona Cardinals. Catch each and every Falcons game here.
2 birds, 1 stadium. The Falcons travel to the Cardinals. 3:05 p.m. Central Time. Week 10 action right here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Injuries at work happen all the time in Alabama. So do motor vehicle and slip and fall accidents. If you're hurt at work or injured in an accident, I want you to call my good friends at Pond, Lehocky, Giordano. That's Pond, Lehocky, Alabama's injury law firm. They got your back just like they've got mine. For personalized legal support, reach out to Pond, Lehocky at 855-774-3838 or pondlehocky.com.
The representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
Hi folks, Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford's Thanksgiving sales event. This is the time of year to give thanks for all the good things in our lives. And at Woody Anderson Ford, we give thanks that you're driving a Ford. Right now, we've got financing as low as 2.9% for up to 60 months on 2023 Explorer and Bronco Sport, plus $1,500 in bonus cash. Even our 2023 F-150 Crew Cab has $1,500 bonus cash and financing as low as 3.9%. And our lease rates are great too. 2023 Bronco Sport, $389 a month. 23 Explorer, $537 a month. And our 23 F-150 Crew Cab, just $449 a month, plus $3,000 in total trade assistance and red carpet lease cash. These are 36-month leases with $36.95 on Bronco Sport, $49.21 on Explorer, and $51.51 on F-150 due at signing. Zero security deposit, just tax tag title, and your good credit. These offers end November 30th. Call 539-9441 for complete details. It's Woody Anderson Ford's Thanksgiving sales event, and we hope to see you soon.
There's nothing like the freedom you feel when you're on the water in your own boat from Freedom Marine in Gunnersville. And when it's time to get your boat ready for cold weather, Freedom Marine is your best choice to winterize your boat so it's ready to go next spring. If you've been thinking about a new boat, Freedom Marine has a great selection on sale now with some of the biggest discounts they've had in a decade. For new and used boats, outboard sales, financing, service and parts, it's Freedom Marine. Highway 431 in Gunnersville and online at freedommarincenter.com.
Online at 977ESPN.com.
Stream them online.
Call in.
It's an important job, and it's an vital organization.
Tweet in and join in. We are 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
It's the Bama Recap Show presented by Freedom Marine Center, along with producer extraordinaire Chad Guathney here on a Sunday morning. Steve Moulton, Drew DeArmond here with you. And for the fourth time in the history of the SEC championship game will feature Alabama taking on Georgia. In the previous 3 meetings, Georgia's 3-0. Wait a second. I read that wrong. Alabama is 3-0.
But if you listen to some of the Georgia fans, they are 3-0. They've never lost.
I was just teeing it up for you.
Of course, they'll never lose again.
The last time that these two teams met was 2021, when I believe it was a fantastic call by Eli Gold of Alabama is still Alabama, 41-24. The Crimson Tide were winners there before that national championship game that took place up in Indianapolis. But nonetheless, this Bama team has been fun to watch and kind of see them grow. But let's take a look at around the SEC. We briefly talked a little bit about Tennessee.
Purple Haze.
Missouri just pounded Tennessee yesterday, 36-7. That I went back and saw the highlights, Drew. It wasn't that close.
No, it was a beat down really after the first quarter. It was a good game for a quarter. And yeah. I was flipping among a few games, and
10-7?
Yeah,
at
it
one
was
point.
10-7. But it was not a close game after that. I mean, it was just a line of scrimmage game. And I'll just say this. It's cemented to me Elijah Drinkwitz being the coach of the year. And I understand the job Nick Saban's done. He's done an amazing job with this team. But with Cody Schrader, I mean, good Lord. 35 carries, 205 yards, and then 5 receptions for 116 yards, and 4.5 hours of Tone taking calls with COVID. That was unbelievable. So
I got something to listen to on the way home.
Oh, you'll enjoy it. I mean, this is just, and the purple haze is right off of the freaking, on the top. I mean, right off the top here. But it was just one of those things where I thought Tennessee would win a close game. I blew that game and I blew the Arkansas-Auburn game, okay?
Yeah.
And both of them ended up being beat downs in the other direction. And I really thought the way Tennessee handled business and found a way to win at Kentucky, they'd find a way to win a tight one at Mizzou. But it was never tight, man. And it's a real issue with Josh Heupel on the road. And I'm just telling you, people haven't gone back and taken a look at it. He went undefeated his first year at UCF, and then the next 2 years things started going south.
That's right.
Could be the same thing happening with Tennessee, because I'm just telling you, Joe Milton, there was people in the media that said Joe Milton would be a first-round draft choice after this year. He just does not have the feel for the quarterback position. He's not a bad player. He's just not a great player. Y'all need to understand how good Hendon Hooker was, okay? That's what people aren't understanding. I still say when he gets healthy, he'll be a starting quarterback in the NFL, okay? And so I just think I think he was a great player, and there's some definite issues with Josh Heupel.
Before we leave, you've been pretty spot on with this. What kind of line do you think the SEC championship game is going to have between Alabama and Georgia?
I would say Georgia by 4.5. And they should be favored. They're going to have I'd say a 29-game winning streak. And, they beat Alabama the last time they played. To me, they're the number one team in the country. If Alabama navigates the Auburn game the way they should and wins I'd say Alabama – I would favor Alabama by about 10 over Auburn. I just think they're the better team. I'd say a 27-17 type game. I would say that Georgia should be a slight favorite. And I think, honestly, with Brock Bowers, what did I tell you in West on the drive? I thought he would play, and he did.
Yeah.
And
he looked good.
I think he'll be on a pitch count the next 2 games, even against Tennessee as well. But, again, I think overall, Georgia should be a slight favorite over Alabama because, to be the man, you got to beat the man. Right now, Georgia's the best program in the country.
Want to thank Chad Guathney for coming in since I am on the road. Also want to thank Freedom Marine Center, our presenting sponsor. We've got a doubleheader of NFL football beginning with the 49ers taking on the Jags. Then, how did you put it, Drew? Chad, it's double bird or
2 birds, 1 stadium. We got the Falcons and the Cardinals, baby. 3:05.
Good Lord.
Let's see if Arthur Smith can keep his job.
Both of them need quarterbacks, man. Hey, Falcons, trade for Mac Jones, please. Please trade for Mac Jones and get him the hell out of there.
That wasn't pretty this morning. Anyway, that will wrap us up. A big thank you again to Freedom Marine Center. We'll talk to you next Sunday right here on the Bama Recap Show. Roll Tide, everybody.
Union Grove, Huntsville, the Tennessee Valley's home of ESPN Radio, is 97.7 The Zone.
It is arguably the game of the day here at Week 10, and we've got it. San Francisco and Jacksonville with the call. We head to Everbank Stadium in Jacksonville, Florida with Dan Graziano and Mike Tannenbaum. Here's